The following program is intended for mature audiences.
A democratic republic of sports. The Sportsocracy with ESPN Asheville hosts Tank Spencer and Jeremy Greene.
And welcome into the Sportsocracy. I'm Tank Spencer, Jeremy Greene alongside on this Wednesday morning here in the Wicked Weed studio, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different. It's time to talk some NFL power rankings. Today we are going to go through the bottom half of the NFL. We got a couple of new teams that have fallen into the bottom half of the power rankings here since the last time we did an NFL power rankings, which I believe was just right after the NFL draft. So we're going to go 17 through 32.
Starting at 32 and going up to 17.
Yes. 32 to 17 power rankings. Let's get into it. Number 32 on the list. It can't be anybody else. The worst team in the NFL by a long stretch is the Houston Texans.
The Houston Texans. Pew pew.
Ooh, the Deshaun Watson thing. I mean, they've just gutted this team. They signed every god-awful free agent that they possibly could find. It's no good.
Let's be real honest about Houston. They're bad and they want to be bad. And the Deshaun Watson thing is coming to a conclusion. Didn't practice on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. You can't do this forever. I mean, you can sit here and kick this can down the road all you want to, but he's the most valuable asset you have, investigation or no investigation. And there is a team out there somewhere that is going to want him. Mm-hmm. I strongly believe that's the Philadelphia Eagles.
I would think the Philadelphia Eagles would be in that market. However, the Indianapolis Colts, they need a quarterback.
In the division, you're not going to do that.
No, that's true.
You're not going to do that. That was what I pointed out to you, was that the humor is that, hey, now we've got a team that needs a quarterback. Unfortunately, it's one of the three teams I guarantee you would never send him to.
Right.
So, I mean, I've tried to figure out where else it could be. It could theoretically be Denver, but I don't really buy that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's Philadelphia. And at this point, if you're the GM of the Houston Texans, you make the phone call to Philadelphia and just say, let's get this shit done.
Yeah.
You got screwed on the pick for Carson Wentz. But would you still be willing to give up your pick to get Deshaun Watson? The answer is yes. And if you're not, you're dumb. Mm-hmm. And now you run the same gambit with Houston that Indianapolis ran with you. We'll take your headache quarterback because we need one, and he's far better than anything we could have. We'll give you conditional picks outside of our pick this year. And Houston, you overplayed your hand. That's where you're at. Mm-hmm. You go into next year, Davis Mills is not the solution, but let's say you think he is. You have a year to see it. I can literally in my lifetime not remember a quarterback I've ever seen that 1 year in I didn't know if he was the solution or not. I've never questioned it, and then they turned into a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. I'm not saying it's going to be good, but at this point, you're just biding time. For what reason? You're not fixing this with Deshaun Watson. Your team is god-awful. If you look at this roster, the defense is horrid. Mm-hmm. And outside of Brandon Cooks, you don't have any weapons. So just get it done, move on. You're the worst team in the NFL. Hopefully you wind up with a number one pick next year and you take Sam Howell and you move right along.
Right. I mean, you again, as you said, the whole roster is god-awful for this team. And you look at, I mean, it's Brandon Cooks. Tyrod Taylor's probably the second best player on this team. And then would you go Phillip Lindsay? Laramie Tunsil.
Yeah, but I mean, my God, you signed 26 running backs just to try to make up the running back room.
Right.
I mean, this is one of those throw it against the wall and see what sticks years. Mm-hmm. But the more time you take on Deshaun Watson, the less valuable he becomes. Mm-hmm. And look, his value's already been hoarded out anyway, just simply because you overplayed your hand. You could have gotten 4 ones for him in March. You didn't want to do that. You put your fingers in your ears and went, no, we're not listening. Well, now here you are. You kick the can down the road, and here you are.
Zach Cunningham.
Make the damn move and get the fuck on with it.
Zach Cunningham will be in that list, too. Best players on the Houston Texans. They're bad.
Yeah, and to me, I don't even start Tyrod Taylor. I start Davis Mills from week 1.
Why?
What good does it do to start a 30-something-year-old quarterback? What, you think Tyrod Taylor's going to find the fountain of youth and all of a sudden with this shithole roster, he's going to be better than he was in Cleveland? or Buffalo or with the Chargers last year. No, he's the same guy. Play the young guy. In the NFL, if you're going to be bad, be bad. If you're going to suck, suck. And now Houston's just sitting here. It's like they're running on a treadmill. And the more time you do this, the dumber you look. And I got news for you. David Culley's not the answer at head coach. You know that as well as I do. And the more you do this, the more inept you look as a franchise, and the more unlikely you are to wind up with the guy a year or 2 years from now.
Yeah, but that makes you look even worse as a franchise.
How much worse can you look? How much worse can you look than a team that gave ridiculous money to a quarterback, and then you've done nothing but hurt his value, and now he's got all these allegations against? How much worse can you look? You're already the laughingstock of the NFL.
Well, I mean, burning $12.5 million on Tyrod Taylor would be another market
Who
stat.
cares? And so you've got him in there to tutor Davis Mills. I can sell that. What I can't sell is that you have taken the value of your franchise quarterback and taken it from great to nothing because you wanted to stick your fingers in your ears and act like shit wasn't happening.
Right.
It was, it is, and now here we are. So now at some point you have to correct the mistake. And Houston, I got news for you. I don't care if you're the most Houston Texan, die-hard, true, red and blue. You know this team sucks. You can call me an idiot in the comments all you want to. I don't give a shit. You know how bad this team is. Because when I ask you, how are you going to win? And trust me, I've seen me do it. Well, we could have a great rushing attack. Okay, cool. What happens when they get the ball? Because your secondary is brutal. And you have no pass rush. Hot. It's not going to end well. Steer into the skid. If you think Nick Cesario is the guy, roll with it. Let him do what he wants to do and build this team. Right now, you're just biding time, and it makes no sense to me.
Number 31 on the power rankings list, I've got the Jacksonville Jaguars at number 31.
I'm close. I have the Detroit Lions at number 31.
Yeah, you will see we have pretty much all the same teams here, 25 to 32. But to me, Jacksonville's just, I mean, they're bad. They got Trevor Lawrence, sure. You got Travis Etienne. You got a couple of weapons that I like in DJ Shark and Laviska Shenault. There are some things to work with this team, but they're not going to be good.
No.
It's not going to translate to wins. I still feel the same about them as I did, 4 months ago or 3 months ago when we did this exercise of this is a very, very bad team. The whole Urban Meyer thing and the fact that there is a story, at least one story, probably 4 stories a day about Tim Tebow making this fucking roster, it irritates me to no end. And I just don't see how it's going to work.
So you got the Tebow thing. Now you've got another beat writer that keeps talking about Gardner Minshew's taking first-team reps.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Just steer in. I feel the same way about Houston I feel about Jacksonville. This is so hard to fuck up, and I feel like you're doing it. Because have you noticed that all of the narrative out of Jacksonville is either about Gardner Minshew and the fact that he refuses to take a shit because number 2's not an option,
right?
Or Tim Tebow catching touchdown passes. You're not talking about the fact you have a generational talent at quarterback. And the narratives have been one backup quarterback, one non-quarterback, and your coach. That's not a good sign. And look, I've said this to Jaguars fans. I would love to be wrong. I would love for this to work because I love Trevor Lawrence. Everything I've seen suggests to me that it's not going to. And then I look at the pieces on defense, and none of it fits together well. And then I look at the schedule and just go, who exactly are you supposed to beat? Best case scenario for Jacksonville, they're what?
I don't know, 3-14.
5-12 is the best I've ever gotten to, and that's being just Homer Central.
Right.
You run the ball aggressively, and the defense is better than I think it is. I have Jacksonville at 30 solely because I think they are more talented than Detroit. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm looking at the direction of these two franchises. I'd much rather be Detroit than I would be than Jacksonville. And that's saying a lot considering I think you have the best quarterback that's come out in 3 decades on your roster.
I don't know that I would go that far as to say that the future is brighter one way or the other.
Who do you trust more now, Brad Holmes or Urban Meyer?
Brad Holmes.
Trent Baalke.
Brad Holmes.
There you go.
Yeah.
You have the pieces in place.
Even Dan Campbell. I would put Dan Campbell in that scenario as well.
For me, it's not Dan Campbell that I trust so much. It's the way that they built the staff. With Aaron Glenn and Anthony Lynn. That's 2 guys that I know this game very, very well.
Right.
One's already been a head coach, and one I think will be. I just feel like you've done all the things there that you're supposed to. You're going to be bad for a year. I still maintain Jared Goff is better than a lot of people pan him out to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I look at these two franchises and I go, one of them has embraced the bad and understands that there is a systematic culture of losing in this franchise that we need to tear down.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Jacksonville has somewhat embraced that. They thought Urban Meyer would just fix that, and he's been given carte blanche to do whatever he wants to. And it ain't working. And I got news for you. We talk to beat writers pretty often. And I'm going to be honest with you, the things that I hear out of Jacksonville are mind-boggling. I've said all kinds of things about the ETN deal. I think James Robinson is a piece, and you're going to be able to run the ball reasonably well.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, teams are just going to stack the box against you, and they're going to dare you. They're going to dare you. With Cam Robinson on one side and Taylor on the other side, they're going to say, please stick your 6'6" quarterback back there and just let us tee off on him. The interior of the line's fine. The defense, I think, is young and somewhat improving. But I don't trust Urban Meyer as far as I can throw him.
No.
And everything that's come out has scared me. Like I said before, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am.
Yeah, future prospects, I like Jacksonville better because they have the quarterback. I don't believe Detroit has their quarterback of the future. I'm not a believer in Jared Goff. I haven't been a believer in him.
And I'm not really a believer. I just think he's better than everybody else seems to believe that he is.
Right.
I'm not sitting here telling you that he's going to live up to that number one pick billing. What I'm saying is that I don't think there is a huge discrepancy between Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff. I think there's a huge discrepancy in the way they play, not in the talent level. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think's been overblown. So I look at Detroit and go, you know what? I think you killed it in the draft. Mm-hmm. Conversely, I didn't like a lot of what Jacksonville did in the draft. I think you're setting building blocks in Detroit. I think in Jacksonville, you're so hard into this Urban Meyer thing that, well, what if it doesn't work? All right, just play conspiracy theory with me. Or devil's advocate. Let's say I'm right. Let's say this Urban Meyer thing's a disaster. Do you realize how invested you are in Urban Meyer? Mm-hmm. I don't know that there's any coming out of it. You're so buried in this that if it doesn't work, you're screwed. Detroit, I don't feel that way. I feel like you got the Brad Holmes piece right. Everything else in Jacksonville's just boo.
If the Urban Meyer thing doesn't work out, which we don't believe that it's going to, I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars very well could be in the same position as the Houston Texans in 3 years, just where they are god-awful. And every other team in the league can be able to pick what they want off of that roster. And
I don't necessarily know it would go like
Lawrence
that.
Gone, all of it.
I don't necessarily know it would go like that because this job will, no matter what happens, if Urban Meyer goes 0-17 and decides after a year the NFL is not for me, I mean, this is still going to be a somewhat intriguing job solely because of Trevor Lawrence. Mm-hmm. I just feel like you're screwing this up. And I've said this all offseason long, and my tune's not going to change, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Yep.
I just feel like you're screwing this up. I feel like I have heard virtually nothing about Trevor Lawrence out of this camp. I've heard 10 times more about Gardner Minshew and 100 times more about Tim Tebow. I'm good. It doesn't make any sense.
Any other thoughts on the Detroit Lions, since they are your next team?
They're my 31. They're your 30.
Yeah.
The talent is not there, but I see the young pieces. This is a team that I think needs one more maybe 2 off seasons, but certainly one more draft to put in young players that fit the. I just feel like that whole organization's going in the same direction. Mm-hmm. I feel like all the paddles are rowing in the same direction. I just don't think the talent's there. Power rankings for me, this is how I think you're going to finish. I think Detroit will finish behind Jacksonville. However, course of the franchise, I would much rather be Detroit than I would Jacksonville.
The number 29 team in our power rankings here, mine is the Philadelphia Eagles. You got the Cincinnati Bengals. We're flipped on 28 and 29.
We do that 3 times in the bottom 8.
Right. So let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles first. Now, if they are able to swing a deal for Deshaun Watson, this team goes from number 29. I would say they're up in the teens. Maybe, yeah, that's as high as I can go. I can't go that much higher. Deshaun Watson ends up with the Philadelphia Eagles because I do believe that the ancillary pieces are okay-ish. Devontae Smith already 2 to 3 weeks. He's going to be out because of a leg injury, and that's one of the things that people said about him coming into the draft was that he was so slight, and he's got skinny little legs. And here you go. You're in a couple of practices, and already there's a 2 to 3 week absence for Devontae Smith.
I believe in Devontae Smith, and I did coming into the draft. I just, like I said, this is a guy that needs a year in an NFL strength and conditioning program because he is way too small. The injury, not surprising me. Now, I do buy into Jalen Reagor. What I don't buy into is Jalen Hurts. You said if the Deshaun Watson thing happened, the Philadelphia Eagles go into the, what'd you say?
Into the teens.
Where? What number would you put on them?
I would say they're up to 18, 19, something like that.
I'll be honest with you. Deshaun Watson's the quarterback of this team. I'd have him damn near in the top 10.
Really?
That's how big of a swing this is. That's how bad I think Jalen Hurts is. And for me, I look at Philadelphia a lot like I look at, it's funny, the dichotomy here, because I look at Philadelphia much like I look at Houston. You know the Jalen Hurts thing was a fuck up. There's no doubt. Look at how this team is reported on in Philadelphia media. You know this was a mistake. Now it's a question of how far are you willing to go with the mistake. If you can find a way to swing the deal for Deshaun Watson, I don't care. Because here's the thing, you're not bad enough. The bad thing about Philadelphia, you're not bad enough. Because you're not going to get up there to Sam Howell or Keaton Slovis or whoever it is that you're in love with. Because I got news for you. This is going to be a dissected quarterback class. So whoever the one is, that will be consensus. I firmly believe it'll be Sam Howell. You're not going to be bad enough. So you're going to be in that market for the flawed quarterback, where I put Keaton Slovis and other guys like that. If you can correct this mistake, you have to do it.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles, to me, I mean, like I said, I think their pieces are okay. I mean, you look at the defense, and the front is killer. The defensive front is killer for them. With Javon Hargrave and Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Derek Barnett, they got Ryan Kerrigan. I like all of those pieces. The back end's not horrible. Adding Darius Slay and Anthony Harris.
Well, Darius Slay was already there.
Well,
adding Steven Nelson.
from last year.
He was there last year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, you're talking about the, yeah.
Right.
Steven Nelson's what changed it for me because he's a legitimate number 2 corner. I now look at the defense as you're good enough. You're not going to stop Dallas. I think you can stop Washington. I know for damn sure you can stop the Giants. So I just look at it and go, there's one piece of this whole damn team because I believe more in the line than other people do. Health. I still believe in Lane Johnson. I still believe in Jason Kelsey. You know, Brandon Brooks he's already done for the year, right? Or is he back?
I think he's back.
They've already lost somebody.
Let me look.
They've lost somebody, and I'm blanking on who it is. I don't know how much I believe in Dillard on the left side, but you did take him high, and there's definitely talent there. It's just a question of how all the things come together.
Yeah, he's back.
Who's the they lost a lineman, and I don't know who the hell it was.
I don't know.
And I'll look.
I can't help you on that one. I'm trying to look.
Or maybe I'm just fully a year behind.
Yeah, I think you are a year behind. Brandon Brooks' injury was.
I knew that, but I thought he aggravated it for some reason.
Okay. You put Deshaun Watson on the Philadelphia Eagles. I like this team way better.
Brandon Brooks is fine. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I imagined it.
Yeah.
I have a vivid imagination.
You put him on this team, and things are good. Jalen Hurts is he's not good. No. He had one big week, and everybody goes, oh, see, that's what he could be. I'm going to disagree. Now, the Cincinnati Bengals, welcome into the Cincinnati Bengals Reddit group.
Hi. Pleasure to see you
again. They love
again.
this guy.
Oh, they just adore me. I don't know what more you want me to say.
The offense has got great. The offense has got great weapons. I just don't know how you're going to be able to stop people.
I don't buy your offensive line. I've said that forever, and I don't buy Zach Taylor. I don't. And here's how different. I don't hate some of the talent in Cincinnati. I don't. They have players I really like. I really like Jesse Bates, which, by the way, I've had that name said at me so many times that I felt like I had to start this with that.
Okay.
I know how good he is. I get it. One of those little hidden gems of the NFL that never gets talked about. I'm well aware. I just look at the rest of your team and go, I don't know how you're going to get to a quarterback ever. I don't buy Trey Hendrickson in the least.
Really?
No, and I never have. If you look at the stats, he's a cleanup guy, and he has, and that's what he was in New Orleans.
Yeah, playing
he had Cam Jordan on the opposite side. Who's playing on the opposite side of him now?
Sam Hubbard.
There you go. There's a big fuck difference there. And I just look at the rest of the defense and go, it's just dudes. I don't love your linebackers. I don't love your secondary. The secondary just looks like a combination of talent, and two of them, we'll figure two of them out eventually.
Yeah.
I don't buy it, especially not in this division. You are light years behind all three teams in your division. That's one of the reasons. Do I think the Bengals are the 30th worst team?
30th worst team.
I didn't have them at 30. I had them at
29.
I had them as the 29th worst team in the NFL. Do I think they're the 29th most talented team in the league? No. I also think you have 3 in my top 12 in your division. That ain't doing you any favors. And I look at the rest of the schedule and just go, but there's pieces. There are certainly pieces. And if Zach Taylor and the management system of this team was different, I would probably feel different. But here's the thing. You've had literally more losing seasons in the last 25 years than any team in the NFL. Same brain trust still in power. And to me, it's you're doing the same thing all over again. You got the coach that had lunch with Sean McVay one time. You bought in. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I hadn't bought it from the jump. And it bothers me that is what is that's the tutelage that Joe Burrow's under and the offense is under. And I'll put it this way. If Joe Brady was the head coach of this team, who I buy in a lot on, they're probably still in my bottom 8, but they're 24th. I think they have that much talent. I think they are clueless from the top down.
Jeremy and I only have one difference in the bottom quadrant of the NFL for these power rankings, and it's at number 27. I've got the New Orleans Saints here. You've got the New York Giants here. It's not going to be long before we get to those two teams on each other's lists in the next quadrant. Here's the funny thing to me. Well, the first time we did this, I had the New Orleans Saints at this exact same spot. Since then, they lost Michael Thomas for a while. And the quarterback situation hasn't gotten any clearer. We don't know if it's going to be Taysom Hill. We don't know if it's going to be Jameis Winston. It's just everything's up in the air right now. Here's the thing. The New Orleans Saints are going to be bad. They are going to be bad, and I don't think that Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill either or can save them.
I believe more with Jameis Winston. I have them ranked as though I think Mike Thomas will miss the first month of the season, and Jameis Winston will be the starting quarterback. If I found out different, Mike Thomas misses the first half of the year, and then the schedule's so tough that they're 2-6 after 8 games. Okay, now I'm with you, and they should be down there.
Yeah.
I look at Sean Payton and go, you're a good enough coach to keep them from being bottom 8 worst team in the league. Obviously, I still believe in Alvin Kamara. I don't buy the defense to the level of a lot of people, but it's still not bad. I mean, it's not like this is not a Houston Texan level defense.
No.
The defense will be fine. I just look at your division and go, my God, there are so many people that are hard to cover in that. Between Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley in Atlanta, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson in Carolina, and the slew of weapons your damn Buccaneers have. It's just hard for me to see a path where you're going to be. I see them more in the 7-10, 8-9 range. I feel like you see them more in the 5-12 range. And I did originally, but the more I thought about Jameis Winston, you're going to be able to move the ball, and I think the defense is good enough to keep you out of the dreg tier.
Yeah, and I get people will say, oh, what about Alvin Kamara? I get it. Alvin Kamara is a great player. But nothing else on this team is really going to scare me. I mean, of course, Michael Thomas is a threat when he's healthy, but even if he comes back within a month of the season, what's he going to come back to? And is
if he's back within a month,
going to be all in? Is my question.
Yeah, he will be, because now you're getting to that injury-prone. Are you going to see another big contract point of the world? So, yeah, I mean, he would be bought in. I'm not as worried about the Saints as you are.
Yeah. I mean, they have.
And I've softened on that. I was really hard on the Saints at the beginning during the offseason.
Yeah.
Because they lost so much depth. Injuries can crush this team.
Yes.
This team goes through just a bad month injury-wise, they could be in the bottom 5 in the NFL. That's how thin this team is.
They have got a killer offensive line, and they're going to be able to move the ball on the ground. They still have.
I just feel like teams are going to stack the box if it's Taysom Hill.
Right. They still have Alvin Kamara. They still have Latavius Murray. They have all of those stars on the offensive line. I understand why people are saying, don't be so down on the New Orleans Saints. It's just hard not to be. After we saw Drew Brees leave, now what are you left with?
Not much. I mean, I feel like having no outside weapons makes it more likely they start Taysom Hill. I'm just firmly of the belief Sean Payton's smarter than that. It's Jameis Winston, and I think they'll be. They're not going to be good. To me, they're not a playoff contender, but they're not god-awfully bad.
Right.
In the Saints spot where you have the Saints, I have the New York Giants.
Yes.
This is quickly becoming one of the most dysfunctional organizations in the NFL.
Well, I mean,
yesterday they have a dog pile at practice. Literally, they had a full-on team battle royale. And then Kenny Golladay gets hurt.
Yep.
And you have your quarterback at the bottom of that's just dysfunctional as hell. And I do like Joe Judge. I said that last year. I think he's a good coach. I just think there's a lot of Dave Gettleman dysfunction baked into this team. And I don't know how you get away from it. I don't buy Daniel Jones. I never have. I mean, I think the secondary's better. I don't know if the defense is all that much better. I mean, it's fine. It's middle of the road. But you tell me what's different to where you're not still going to see stack boxes against Saquon Barkley. If something's wrong with Golladay and now you're going in with Sterling Shepard and John Ross.
Darius Slayton.
I mean, Darius Slayton's fine. I was trying not to put him in the other category. I like Sterling Shepard. I don't think anybody with the Giants does, which is mind-boggling to me. But it's the same team. Like we're lather, rinse, repeat what we did last year. Different faces, new places is where you're headed.
Yeah. I mean, I love the fact that Joe Judge is out there putting some old school discipline on the team after they had that big brawl at practice yesterday. I mean, he had them out there doing, push-ups in unison on the goal line and running 100-yard sprints and shit. Like, this is not going to be how we run our team. But, I mean, we have made fun of coaches that try to run that same kind of a old school system in today's day and age. I don't know that he made any friends, I guess, by doing that. It's just, it's a different type of athlete today.
Very much so.
And I don't know that you can have that, that hard stance, Stalin-esque type thing with guys who are making millions and millions of dollars.
Well, I mean, it's worked for Belichick for a long time.
This is very true.
And that's where he came from.
This is
so,
very true.
The disciplinarian, that style can still work.
Yeah.
I don't think they have the players, and I don't think they have the management. I think Dave Gettleman needs to be somewhere else, and somebody else needs to be building this roster. And I would feel better about where it's headed. Next year, you're going to wind up with a quarterback because it ain't Daniel Jones. So, you're probably a year away. I mean, I liked some of the acquisitions. There's still so many holes left on this team.
Continuing the countdown here, 26 and 25. We've got flip-flopped the Denver Broncos on my side. You've got the Atlanta Falcons at 26.
These are two weird spots to me. I mean, legitimately, these are two just bizarre spots. Because if you took Matt Ryan off of the Falcons and put him on the Broncos, I'd probably have him in the top 15.
Yes.
If you gave Matt Ryan the Denver defense, I'd probably have them in the top 15 in Atlanta. The problem is that neither one of those things are happening.
Yeah.
The defense for Atlanta is god-awful. I mean, I think the secondary play is going to be a little better.
Right.
But I still don't buy the secondary.
I've been seeing all these clips coming out from training camp with how good Kyle Pitts looks, and I go, oh, it's happening. And then I think, oh, yeah, but he's playing against the Atlanta defense, so... Yeah. I mean, he's going to be fine. He's going to be fantastic.
I think the offense is still going to be fine in Atlanta.
I agree. It's the fact that you can't stop anybody. You're gonna wind up at a lot of those shootouts like we saw last year with Dallas. that 45-44 game or whatever the hell it was in week 4 of the season, you're going to see a lot more of that from the Atlanta Falcons. Now they have changed up coaching staff, obviously, with Arthur Smith coming in as the head coach, Dean Pease coming in. I think
Dean Pease will help the defense.
I think you've started the ball rolling towards something better, and at least a post-Matt Ryan era. But it's not going to be good.
Now, I also don't love the fact that, you don't have any other outside weapons. You get to Russell Gage really fast. And I don't really know how well you're going to be able to run the ball. Arthur Smith likes to run the ball, and you've got Mike Davis and a bunch of dudes. And that just scares me. Now, Mike Davis is a guy I love for fantasy. I don't know how great he's going to be real-life football. I don't know how he's going to hold up to this level of workload because he's the only running back on the team that is worthy of that level of workload. I like Javian Hawkins, but, he's a change of pace back at best.
Right.
And I just look at the defense and go, it's just, you're not any better than that. Now, Denver, I love everything Denver has. I don't like how Cortland Sutton looked. Cortland Sutton looked like he was about 906 years old in a clip I saw from practice the other day. I like all the weapons. I like the defense. I love how well you're going to be able to run the ball. If Philadelphia wound up swinging a trade for Deshaun Watson, you have the worst quarterback room in the league, and it's not even debatable to me. You have 2 quarterbacks that I'd put in the low 30s, high 40s of talent in the NFL. And I just don't know how that's going to work. The NFL is undefeated of it does not matter how good the team around you is. If your quarterback position is broken, you as a team are broken. And that's how I feel about Denver. Conversely, I'll say the same thing about them that I said about Philadelphia. If Denver found a way, and somehow Deshaun Watson was the starting quarterback of the Denver Broncos week 1 of this season, I'd have him in the top 12 in the NFL. I would have them higher, and I'd have Philadelphia, and I don't even think that's debatable because the weapons around him would be better. The problem is I don't see any path to you doing that. George Payton is so safe here, and he's got such a long leash to build this team that I don't think you have to make that move for Deshaun Watson. And I also don't know how that would sell in Denver. I don't think it would be well. Everything I've ever seen, it's not a game you want to play in Colorado.
Right.
So I don't see that happening. I think you're going to be bad at quarterback. I think you're going to be bad overall. And I like the other teams in your division way better than you.
I think they're going to be I keep saying that Denver looks to me as the team that I'm underselling, that we're all underselling. This is a team that if they get even competent quarterback play out of Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Lock, they're going to be way better than you think.
And I don't think that's going to happen.
They could be they could be an 8-win team if all goes perfectly.
It would have to go. I would have to see better out of either of those 2 quarterbacks than I've ever seen in their careers.
Right.
For it to go that well. Because what teams are going to do now is just load the box. Because neither one of these guys has an arm that scares you. And let's be really honest. Outside of KJ Hamler, you don't really have a receiver that scares you deep. I'm just going to dare you. I know you're going to throw Melvin Gordon at me. You're going to throw Javonte Williams at me. You're going to try to play grinded out old school football.
Yep.
And then I look at you're in a division with Derek Carr, Justin Herbert, and Patrick Mahomes. Good luck with that. You ever heard the phrase bringing a knife to a gunfight? Because that is 100% what you're doing.
Yep.
But like I said, I love the talent around it. If there was another quarterback, I would have them markedly higher. They don't, and neither do I.
All right, let's jump up into the next round of 8, 17 through 24. At number 24, I've got the Indianapolis Colts here.
You crushed the Colts over losing Carson Wentz.
I did. You lose Carson Wentz, and I lose all faith in this team. And ever since the Carson Wentz thing happened, it hasn't gone any better. They pissed off somebody. They pissed off God, and now God has decided the Indianapolis Colts of 2021 are going to be the San Francisco 49ers of 2020. Ryan Kelly has gone down with an injury. Quentin Nelson showed up in a boot yesterday. It's not been good for the Indianapolis Colts, and Carson Wentz, it all starts there. I had the high hopes that Carson Wentz could regain that MVP form with Frank Reich, reuniting with Frank Reich. But now that he's going to miss what I'm going to guess is at least half the season, I don't like their chances with Jacob Eason as their quarterback.
I would have them down there where you have them if I knew Carson Wentz was not going to be a thing until midway through the year. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily buy that. I think 12 weeks is on the high side. I mean, and that's – I think 5 weeks is aggressively low. I think it falls in the middle. Mm-hmm. The schedule starts brutally. I'm not as down on the talent of Jacob Eason. I just don't think he has it between the ears. And that was my knock on him when he came out in the draft, is that if I could put – I mean, if you remember correctly, I said if I could put Jake Fromm's head on Jake Eason's body, I would have a Pro Bowl level quarterback. Mm-hmm. Problem is you can't do that. So I would – if I knew Carson Wentz wasn't going to be around for the first half of the year, I might have them a little lower, but I don't know that. No. I don't know that I would go any lower than I have them right now.
All of the reports that I have seen, and I said this on yesterday's Sportsocracy program, is that five weeks is out of the question. I mean, that's if they get in there in that foot and there's nothing wrong. If they have to start reattaching ligaments and stuff, there are a lot of doctors that believe 12 weeks is being generous.
Well, and I don't, to the best I've heard, that's not what they were afraid of. Mm-hmm. It was cleaning it up, deal with all the things. I'm still going to maintain I think he's about 8 weeks out.
Yeah, this will.
And I'm a huge Carson Wentz believer if he's healthy. Problem is he's never healthy.
I am as well, and my power ranking will reflect that. But right now, I'm going worst case scenario with the Indianapolis Colts, and they fall in at 24 for me.
For me, at 24, I've got the Chicago Bears. If you told me that Justin Fields was the starter of this team for 17 weeks, I'd probably have them 6 spots higher.
He is.
That's what you think.
Yes.
I'm telling you, this is what I tried to tell you all offseason long, is when you do this, you set yourself up for failure. Because Matt Nagy's trying to save his job. Because if this goes sideways in Chicago, he'll never get another head coaching job ever. He will be considered an Andy Reid disciple that was propped up by being with Andy Reid. So what's he going to do? He's going to give himself the best opportunity in his own mind to win early. Mm-hmm. And everything he has said makes me think Andy Dalton is what he believes gives him the best chance to win right off the jump.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you that they have week 9 bye week. I think they're bye weeks in week 9 because I've routinely said the first 8 games of the year I could see them being 2-6. With Dalton, I could see them being 2-6, and he gets fired in the bye week.
Mm-hmm. Week 10.
Week 10. So it's 2-7.
Yep.
And then he gets fired, Justin Fields comes in. And then I think the team would have some hope. I just don't really see how this is going to work unless Justin Fields takes the reins on this job because he is so dynamic. I do like Darnell Mooney. I do like Allen Robinson. I'm not very high on David Montgomery, but I do like Khalil Herbert. And the defense is good. Yeah. So, I mean, you've got pieces here. I don't see them all fitting together with Matt Nagy as the head coach.
Yeah, I'm buying into the Justin Fields hype. I think he is going to come in. He's going to give them the best shot to win now. And I really don't care about the tough schedule. Would you throw your quarterback in there into the fire? I think I would. Rather than going with Andy Dalton and trying to figure out a way to weave Justin Fields in there at some point during the middle of the season, just throw him out there. I think the offensive line is good enough to protect him. I think he's smart enough that he's going to be able to get the ball out before he gets hurt. And then you look at that defense, and the defense is just really good to me. I'm not saying that the Chicago Bears are awesome. All I'm saying is I think they're much better than the 24th best team in the NFL. You start out with the Dolphins and the Bills, the Titans, the Rams. Yeah, and you got the Bengals, the Browns, the Lions, the Raiders, the Packers, the Bucks, the 49ers, the Steelers. That's a hell of a 9-week start to the season.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's aggressive.
Yeah.
And I just look at it like I said, I have no problem starting Justin Fields week 1. Mm-hmm. I do not. Look, I have said, and I'm going to keep saying, I think Justin Fields is going to be a better fantasy quarterback than he ever is real life quarterback because there are deficiencies in his game that bother me. Now, I gotta elaborate on that a little bit. He can still hurt you with his legs. Mm-hmm. He is a threat to run at all times. I'm not saying he's Michael Vick fast. He's a threat to run the ball. And he's got a big enough arm to scare you deep. Andy Dalton has 0 of the things I just said. Mm-hmm. None. So from a sheer schematic standpoint, this defense is going to be pretty damn good. You don't have to be Justin Herbert last year. And I feel like that's the expectation that people are heaping on Justin Fields, and it's completely unfair. This guy had holes in his game. That's why he fell into the 11th pick in the draft. There's a reason that the Jets took Zack Wilson ahead of him. There's a reason the 49ers took Trey Lance ahead of him. There's a reason. There's a reason. And I understand you like him, and I understand you watched him at Ohio State, blah, 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 blah. I get it. I don't know how good that would be off the jump. He's going to turn the ball over a lot. Just straight up, he's going to turn the ball over a lot. And that's what I think Matt Nagy's seeing. Is it short-sighted? 100%. You trot Justin Fields out there week 1, you get a full year to see what happens. You trot Andy Dalton out there, you got till week 10. And if it sucks, we're going to see what one of your coordinators can do as head coach, and then we're going to find somebody that can groom Justin Fields because you're not it.
No. At number 23 on the NFL Power Rankings here, this is where I have the New York Giants. You have your Jets here, which is hilarious that I'm higher on your Jets than you are.
Ain't it, though?
Except for every time we talk about the Jets and you start oozing on and on and on about Zack Wilson and Elijah Moore.
There it is. There's that name. There's that name that just makes me feel all warm and fuzzy in my gooey places.
But every time you do that, I say, just temper your expectations. I'm clueless as to how I have them higher.
Because it's still a rookie quarterback whose best playmaker is a rookie. It's a defense that I think will come together and be very good. Look, I'm very connected to the Jets. I hear a lot of things. And let me tell you this definitively. If the defense is as good as it looks against the first-team offense, I'm wrong and you're right. Straight up. And I'll be honest with you, we're both too low. If the defense is that good, here's where I fall out of love with the Jets. The secondary is getting absolutely abused. So either Elijah Moore is the smaller, shiftier version of Randy Moss, or we're not very good in the back four.
Right.
And I just look at Miami, look at Buffalo with Stephon Diggs, look at Atlanta with Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley, and all the teams that we have to play. And I just go, this is going to be a markedly better Jets team. I love Joe Douglas. I love Rob Salah. I think it's all headed in the right direction. Just tap the brakes. I think good season for the Jets is
6, 7 wins.
I would say 7 at worst.
7 to 10.
That's a good season. That's one where you walk away and go, oh, this is good shit. Zack Wilson still has a huge arm. Elijah Moore's the deep threat that you want. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to say his name until I will it into existence. Because every Jets beat writer has told me he's the best Jets wide receiver I've ever seen. I got guys that I have on speed dial who've covered the Jets for 20 damn years. They've all told me he's the best receiver we've ever seen, and it's not close.
Who's number 1 on that list? Keyshawn?
Lavernius Coles or Keyshawn Johnson. Or Brandon Marshall, who had a stupid year with the Jets.
Plaxico?
Stop it with Plaxico. Plaxico was with us after he shot himself. Look, I see the pieces. I mean, be really honest with yourself. Look at where I've got them. All right, I got them at 23.
Yes.
Are you putting them ahead of New England?
No.
I'm not. New Orleans, yeah, they should probably be ahead of New Orleans. Yeah, they could very easily be ahead of Indianapolis. There's so much instability with those two teams that I just don't know. Are they ahead of Vegas?
Yes.
Maybe if everything goes right, but God, a lot's got to go wrong in Vegas and a lot's got to go right with the Jets. For them, that puts them in the top 20. And you know what? Maybe I'm hashtag no homer and I'm going even harder on my Jets than I should. That's entirely possible.
Yeah.
Because I do think this team's very good. I think Carl Lawson's going to be a phenomenal pass rusher. And there's things that I like. There are also things that I think are a year away. I think the secondary is a year away. Joe Douglas has thrown a shitload of darts against the wall, whether it's Lamar Jackson, Javelin Guidry, the kid whose name is eluding me, Isaiah Dunn. There's a lot of dart or arrows in the quiver. I get it. Until I see it, I just can't buy it. And I see New England that has Belichick and has a Mac Jones who I think is going to start from week 1, and I don't think they're not going to heap things on him. They're going to play good defense, keep the ball away from you. And I was looking at the range of outcomes. There is a 7 out of 10 chance that New England finishes ahead of the Jets. I feel the same way with the Saints. I feel the same way with the Colts. That's not me being down on them. That's me being realistic. This was the worst team in the NFL last year. I understand Jacksonville got the number 1 pick. The Jets had 2 games where they showed up to fight for Adam, googly-eyed, fuckstick, shithead Gase. And it cost us Trevor Lawrence.
You're right.
From everything I can tell, the Zack Wilson thing is going to be just fine. Mm-hmm. He started very well. But I think if I go more than that, I'm being a homer.
Yeah.
And I live #no homer.
Yeah. I do have the Jets ahead of the Las Vegas Raiders, which brings us to number 22. My number 22 team is the Las Vegas Raiders.
And I think you're drunk low on them.
I mean, how? But look at your rankings. I got them 3 spots below you.
Yeah, and I think I might be too low.
Okay.
I think the Vegas Raiders offense is going to be. I'm not going to say it's a high-powered offense. It's going to be a really difficult damn offense to defend. I think you're really going to struggle matchup for matchup when you've got Darren Waller on one side and Henry Ruggs on the other side, and little shifty-ass Hunter Renfrow and John Brown that can be both of those things. Oh, and by the way, if you try to defend us deep, I got Josh Jacobs back behind me. Mm-hmm. I'm not in love with the offensive line, but maybe Raiders fans have convinced me that it's better than I thought it was. Mm-hmm. I just think you're too damn low on them. I think you're too low on them and you're too damn high on the LA Chargers. It's a lot. The funny thing is usually I'm the one that speculates, and I feel like you're speculating on the Chargers, and I'm just going with what I've seen.
Yeah.
The Raiders could have been a playoff team last year, except for the fact they fell apart in December. Now, was that possibly a product of the schedule? Maybe. I buy Derek Carr. I don't think Derek Carr's markedly worse of a quarterback than Justin Herbert. I think Derek Carr's a top 12 to 14 quarterback in the NFL.
Okay.
I think that mixed with a defense that's young and damn near has to get better, can't be much worse than it was last year. Mm-hmm. I just look at that and go, that's better than where you have them. I don't have them in the bottom 10 of the NFL, and I don't see a path that they will be.
No, I just don't buy into it. Is there talent on this team? Yes,
100%.
Absolutely there is talent on this team.
Anybody with a brain will tell you there's talent on this team, and there's offensive talent. I don't think you buy into Gruden.
I don't.
And I've always said that's one of the reasons that you're so down on this team is because you have a deep-seated hatred for John Gruden.
It's not a
that's
hatred.
Born out of a weird not loving him for bringing you a Super Bowl, which I feel like is like a kid that says his bike's the wrong color.
It's not hatred. He took over a team that was on the cusp of going to a Super Bowl.
And he won a Super Bowl with players that Tony Dungy, had.
I understand.
He's still that guy.
Right, but aside from that, he's been mediocre at best. There hasn't been more than 2 years where you went, yeah, John Gruden really got it done for us. Now, granted, one of them was the ultimate prize. Okay, I mean, I give him his credit on that one, but I don't know. It's been a whole lot of mediocre to me. Very up, very down. Las Vegas has constantly been that team over the last 25 years in the NFL.
They've improved every year he's been there. They were 8-8 last year. I think they're going to be 9-8, 10-7-ish, somewhere in there this year. Yeah. And it's just, you just keep going.
I could see them being right in that same spot, but I don't know that bringing in Kenyon Drake is going to make that big of a difference to this offense. No, it can't.
Is he better than Jalen Richard?
Sure.
There you go.
Absolutely.
And I feel like with a lot of the things that they've added, that's what you would do. Mm-hmm. All right, is X better than Y? Player we replaced him with. Which one's better? I feel like you go the replacement a lot more than you go the guy you replaced.
You know what a lot of this could be? I bought into him last year.
And it could be.
I bought into Las Vegas last year, and they let me down because they were one game away from making the playoffs 2 years ago. And then last year I said, you know what? This team is going to do it. They're going to break that barrier. They're going to get into the playoffs this year. And guess what? They missed it by what? A game again? I think this is kind of where you're at. Now, I may have them too low. I mean, one spot out of the playoffs it'd put them right in this little area. Right in this little 20 to 22 area.
Yeah, see, and I guess this is where I'm at. You have them at 22, I have New England at 22. Mm-hmm. And I got New Orleans at 21, who we've already talked about. Mm-hmm. And I look at these two teams. I don't buy New England's defense.
Okay.
I don't. I didn't like Matthew Judon. That's not me being a hater. Oh, you're just a Jets fan. No, you drug us down the sidewalk for 20 years. Mm-hmm. If I thought you were going to do it again, I'd say it, as I did for the 20 years that you drug us down the fucking sidewalk. Mm-hmm. None of that's changed. I just don't buy it. I feel like you're having to overpay because now with no Tom, your selling point is Bill, and Bill's a dick, and nobody wants to play for him. That's what I believe. I believe Stephon Gilmore wanting out of there has a lot to do with Bill Belichick. Because you know when being a dickhead works? When you're winning, or when you're making money, or whatever else. Last year you go 7-9. Oopsie poopsie. If you come into the season with Cam Newton, I got news for you. It ain't gonna get any better. Because he didn't get better, he got worse. Mm-hmm. And now you've got expectations and weapons. That's why I think Mac Jones starts for this team from day one. And I think it'll be fine. I think Mac's gonna have growing pains, and I don't think he's gonna be asked to do a lot. I think this is gonna look very Colt McCoy-ish in the beginning, where he's asked, get the ball to Damian Harris, who I love for fantasy football this year, by the way, and get the ball to the playmakers. Don't turn the ball over. If we have to punt, punting's not the worst thing. Put the defense out there. And I think with the secondary, they'll be fine. I don't buy Judon for the price, for what you paid him.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily love what you paid Hunter Henry and Johnny Smith. Mm-hmm. You paid them like top 5 in the NFL tight ends, and flat the fuck out, they're not. And you can try to how do I say this appropriately? Bill has been trying to do the same thing for 30 years in the NFL.
Yes.
Tried it in Cleveland, tried it in New England, and now he's trying it in New England again. The one time it ever worked was with Tom Brady, period. Mm-hmm. The 2 tight end thing, it worked with Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez. Rob, who was arguably the best tight end that's ever lived, and Aaron Hernandez, who was a matchup fucking nightmare. That's not what you have here. You got 2 injury-prone guys that have never had more than 700 yards in a season, and I just don't buy it.
Yep.
Now, that all being said, do I think you're bad? No. But your range of outcomes, I look at the Raiders and say, if you told me one of those teams won 10 games, I'd bet my life it was the Raiders. Because I don't see any way New England does that. I look at the schedule and just go, my God, there are a lot of teams that are going to shoot out with you, and you are bringing a squirt gun to that gunfight.
Yeah, the offense is not going to be good. The defense, to me, just looks like a prototypical Bill Belichick defense. And that's good enough to keep you in games. He's a good enough tactician as a head coach, I believe, to get them wins that you just don't expect that they're going to win. I undersold this team last year, but not by a whole lot.
I didn't. I was pretty spot the fuck on. I had them at 6-10. They went 7-9. So,
right, I had them at 5-12, and they ended up with 7 wins.
Here's my problem.
7 wins out of a trash team last year. I think you've added to it. I think at best you might get a win better.
And that's vaguely where I'm at.
9.
I look at. I'm going to like Miami against them twice.
Yep.
I think they'll probably split with the Jets. You got New Orleans and Houston, Atlanta. Those are probably, and Indianapolis. Those are probably all wins, in Jacksonville. Other than that, it's a lot of Buffalo, Tennessee, Cleveland, at the Chargers, Dallas, Tampa Bay. I don't like any of that.
Yeah.
I don't like any of that for you. Now, what I will say is I feel like with Mac Jones and the way that you're building this team, you overpaid grossly. But I do at least feel like Mac Jones gives you a steady hand at quarterback that can be your guy for a long time. I just don't think it's going to be this year.
Yeah. The Mac Jones thing, he could have a great, long, steady career in the NFL. I feel like you need to start it right now. Cam Newton's not your answer.
100%.
Cam Newton cannot be the answer. I'm sick and tired of the higher paid mainstream sports media pumping up Cam Newton. Yesterday
we covered him in Charlotte for years.
Yeah,
he sucked since the MVP year.
Yesterday on KJ and Z, they were playing the make it or break it game, and they were throwing out names. And when Cam Newton's name came up, do you want to guess what the panel said about a make or break year for Cam Newton this year?
That'd be take it or shake it, by the way.
No. This was a different game.
Oh, they have 2 games that end in ake it or ake it? It's a lot of akes.
It was fill-in hosts, so it wasn't any of the regular guys.
Yeah,
so
I think they took the whole month of July and the beginning of August off. So.
Right. It was make or break year, and they were throwing out quarterbacks. Cam Newton came up, the entire panel, make it. This is going to be the year that Cam Newton makes it. Where it didn't make sense to me, Bart Scott said this was going to be a make it year for Cam Newton. However, Mac Jones is going to take over this job. That's not how this works, Bart. I think you had too many hits to the head when you were in the NFL. If you start the season as the quarterback of the New England Patriots and you lose your job, that's a break it year, just so you know. But anyway, Cam Newton's not the answer.
Can't wait. This is the point where we have to clean up some things because a lot of your teams and my teams get overlapped right here.
Yes.
So I had New England at 22. You had the Raiders. Mm-hmm. You have my Jets at 21. I have the Saints. Mm-hmm. Looking at that, I might be too high, but I don't think I am. You have New England at 20. I have the Colts at 20. Mm-hmm. You have the Bears at 19. I have the Raiders at 19.
Yes.
Now we get to there's some concert here. We both have the Carolina Panthers at 18. Mm-hmm. If there's a team that I genuinely feel like mainstream football media is missing on, it's the Carolina Panthers.
I'd agree.
How bad has the coaching been for Sam Darnold? It's as bad as it could possibly be. Mm-hmm. I've watched every pass the kid's ever thrown in the NFL. He's got talent. He had to be put into a system where he was reined in and he was given the opportunity to succeed. My big drawback of Carolina is the offensive line because I don't love it. I don't love that you're going to start Cam Irving or Brady Christensen on the left side. I'm fine with Moton, and there's a couple other pieces on that line that I'm fine with. If Russell Okung was starting on the left side, I'd probably be even higher than I am because I love the defense. Mm-hmm. Brian Burns is going to get after quarterbacks. I think Derek Brown, this is going to be a leap forward year. Jeremy Chen, he talked about him enough last year that you should know how I feel about him. J.C. Horn, everything we've heard out of that camp is he has been a man among boys. Mm-hmm. But he's holding too much. Mm-hmm. You remember that thing I said? I tried to tell you to temper your expectations with him. My fear with J.C. Horn is he's going to get a reputation for that very early.
Mm-hmm. If they can keep the band together, I don't know all the contracts off the top of my head of everybody on this defense, but if they can keep this band together for 2-3 years, in that third year, it is going to be the best defense in the NFL.
Well, and I like Phil Snow. I think he's a smart damn guy. Mm-hmm. And I just look at the defense and go, all you have to do is take some, not even huge leaps. You got to take some small jumps ahead. That's all you got to do. And this team will be markedly better because I believe way more in Sam Darnold than I ever did in Teddy Bridgewater. Mm-hmm. If McCaffrey is healthy, you're going to be able to run the ball. He's a dynamic weapon, and I'm going to tell you a dirty little secret of Sam Darnold. He's more athletic than you think he is. And when you give him a running back behind him that's so damn versatile and so damn multiple, and you got a guy in DJ Moore that's going to – DJ Moore's going to play more of that Curtis Samuel role than you think, mm-hmm. and Shi Smith's going to do the same thing.
Okay.
I know a lot of people have really liked Terrace Marshall out of camp. Trust me, you're going to hear more Shi Smith than you think you will because he is a bad damn dude. Mm-hmm. I like the weapons. I hate that they don't have a tight end, but, you know, it is what it is. You can't have everything.
Not a believer in Dan Arnold?
No, not really. I mean, he'll be fine.
Right.
He's a serviceable enough blocker to help the fact that I don't love the line. Mm-hmm. And he's a good enough receiver to not be a complete liability. I just look at this team, and I see Carolina in the low 20s repeatedly in power rankings, and I just think you're wrong.
Yeah.
I understand how good the division is. At the end of the day, they're the second best team in this division, and you can argue with me all you want to. You might as well be arguing with the wall that's across from me because that's how much response you're going to get.
Yeah.
They're the second best team in this division. When 4,000-year-old Tom Brady steps away, they're, in my opinion, the best situated to take over the reins of this division.
Yes.
And I think you're going to see a jump forward this year. If Teddy Bridgewater hadn't been hurt and horrible at times last year, this team would have been better even than they were.
Mm-hmm. It's not going to shock me if the Carolina Panthers make the playoffs this year. Do you agree?
It won't shock me.
I mean, sneaking in to the last spot in the NFC, it's not going to shock me at all. I think everybody who thinks that they are one of the 5 worst teams or 7 worst teams in the NFL,
those people have drinking problems.
Yes.
I firmly believe those people have drinking problems. Mm-hmm. Or you just believe everything you're told. We are super well connected to this team. And I got news for you. There's a lot of optimism coming out of Charlotte right now, and there's a reason.
It all hinges on the quarterback.
And I'm not talking about, we said it, we posted a blog post so everybody can see it. I'm talking about when they talk to us off the record, like, this shit's better than people are saying it is.
Yeah.
They're going to be better than people think they are.
There is no doubt that Sam Darnold is in a better position in Carolina than he ever was with the New York Jets. And the thing about it is, I would say that this team is on par with the Denver Broncos. If Sam Darnold is as bad in Carolina as he was in New York, I just don't think there's really a path for that. He's a 24-year-old kid that has a shitload of talent, and he's got a lot of talent around him. And, you know, the offensive line, it could use a little boost.
Carolina fastest monster of the South. Second cousin to Mothra. Never lost to Godzilla. Never to the Zilla.
I really wanted to put them in the top half of my power rankings, but I just couldn't get there. I need to see it on the field first. But I'm going to tell you, if they come out against your New York Jets and set the world on fire in week 1, they're quickly going to jump up my power rankings.
I think the opposite's going to happen. I think Carl Lawson is going to terrorize Sam Darnold, and people are going to drop him like a rock, and I will be there to pick up all of the shares.
Yes.
That's a team that, if you can find a place to get a futures bet after week 1, holy shit. Because I think Carl Lawson's going to beat Sam Darnold's brains out, and people will jump ship. Then that's when I'm going to want. That's when I'm going to want in on Carolina.
You're going to pick up some slips on them. Yeah, we did not plan it out, but we both have them at number 18 in the power rankings. Now, to the number 17 team, the final one for this power rankings episode. I have the Minnesota Vikings here. You have the Los Angeles Chargers, and I think this is possibly the dumbest ranking that you've had in a while.
I feel like you people are losing your shit on the Chargers.
What is not
I'm not saying I don't like them, because that's how I feel like this is going to come off. You do understand at 17, they're just outside the playoffs.
Yes.
I'm not saying they're bad. What I'm saying is, who in the hell am I supposed to put them in front of? You got Minnesota at 17, I think you're out of your fucking gourd. I mean, absolutely out of your gourd. I get two top 20 wide receivers. Mm-hmm. Plus, I get, in my opinion, the best running back in the NFL. I get a tight end that I am getting back to that point where I don't give a shit what Mike Zimmer says. I think he's going to be a dynamic weapon, and the defense can't possibly be as bad as it was last year. Mm-hmm. Daniil Hunter comes back that gives you the ability to pass rush. Mm-hmm. I don't think they can possibly be that bad. You got Anthony Barr and Kendrick's back, and Harrison Smith can play the way that he's expected to play, and I just look at all these things and go, Minnesota's the team you're all missing on.
Right.
Look, and I'm not off on the Chargers. I'm not saying the Chargers are bad.
Okay.
I'm saying you're putting the cart before the horse because you're expecting a shitload from a very young quarterback and a first-time head coach. They're going to be a playoff contender. I think they might start slower than you think because having a first-time head coach, first-time play caller, that's asking a lot. Fact or fiction? You're asking a lot of a young quarterback and a young coach.
Fact. There's nothing wrong with what you just said.
Have you seen what they start the season with? At the Washington football team, Dallas Cowboys at Kansas City, Las Vegas, Browns at Baltimore. That might be the worst 6-game stretch you've ever seen. And I'm just afraid it's going to start slow and people are going to jump off the bandwagon. And then after the break, there's a lot of Denver, Cincinnati, New York Giants, Houston Texans.
I'll put them. I'll say the same thing about them that you said about the Carolina Panthers. Jump off the bandwagon.
And people will.
Because I'm going.
It's going to start poorly. I'm just telling you. With this Chargers team, everybody's going in with this gung ho. Hey, we've got the best quarterback in the blah blah. The best you could possibly be is 3-3. If you're 3-3 going into that bye week, you should be tap dancing your way around your home. Because that is a brutal stretch.
Yeah.
And I just look at the Chargers and go, I'm afraid the expectation monster is going to bite them. Because there's a staunch possibility that they are 1-5 going into bye week. And how loud do you think that's going to get? Justin Herbert, I do need you to remember this about him. The reason he slipped is because there were a lot of people who thought he was a little bit soft. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people who thought media criticism and things like that. And look, I understand L.A. is, I don't know what the hell I just did right there.
I think you just kicked a wire.
I hit a button, and I did not mean to. There we go. Let there be light. just okay? Just expectations.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
I'm completely drunk on the LA Chargers, and you're going to find out in tomorrow's episode just how drunk on the LA Chargers I am.
And it's about how drunk I am on the Vikings.
Because I'm going to be honest with you, they're not close to this tier.
I'm going to be honest with you. He's as drunk on the Chargers as I am on the Vikings. It's gotten more so with every passing day. I've gotten drunker and drunker and drunker on this team.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook, if he can stay healthy, may have 2,000 yards this year. I love that line in front of him. Darisaw is one of the best run blocking tackles that I've graded in 10 years. And you throw him out there as a left tackle that, yes, he's going to have to learn to get further back in his sets as a pass protector. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, you got Kirk Cousins that has Irv Smith, Justin Jefferson, and Adam Thielen. What do all three of those guys do real fucking well? Get out of breaks quickly, which means the ball comes out quickly, which means you can't stack the box against them. All of your drunk on the Chargers is my new drunk on the Vikings.
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
All right.
That's my big mover, because I'm telling you right now, you had them at 17, and you said the Chargers are not close to this tier.
Yeah.
The Vikings are close to this tier for me.
Okay.
I mean, they're in the next tier, but they're not the next two teams.
Nope. Same thing for me. Same thing for me. I think the ceiling is the roof.
And I feel like the comments on this are going to be, oh, you jumped off on the Chargers. No, I'm just telling you the expectation has. I always get nervous when the expectation gets so outsized that you can't live up to it.
Right.
Because there's no way they're starting the season 4-2.
Right.
If you're 3-3 or worse, tell me, fact or fiction, the vast majority of you that are just hardcore Charger are going to go, well, what happened?
Yeah, maybe we were wrong.
And that's my fear. Now, then you come back after the bye week, things lighten up. I don't love that you come back against New England after the bye week, but from there, it's not terrible.
Right.
I think I've heard 12-5, 13-4 for the Chargers, and to me, that is insane. 10-7, there. I might even get to 11-5, depending on how you start the year. But I mean, more than that, you have powder blue colored glasses on. And I'm not trying to piss in your cornflakes. I'm just saying, I was drunk on them when people had them at 7 wins. 7.5 wins was their futures bet. Well, now their futures bet's up to 9.
Yeah.
It's a lot of movement.
Over. I'll take over.
I'll take over, but it's close. I think 9 might be the number.
And it's not that I dislike the Minnesota Vikings.
You're just not as drunk on them as I am.
I'm just not as drunk as them as you are, and there are a lot of teams right here. I mean, this is where it gets really, really tough. To me, the bottom half of this list was friggin' easy.
Yeah, the bottom 8 teams were pretty easy for me.
The top half of this league is stacked. And it's hard to put teams where they need to go. Minnesota was not far from that top half, obviously, with their number 17 ranking for me. But it was really hard for me to squeeze them in over the other teams.
See, and to me, the NFL is like a sandwich. The top 8 was easy as hell for me. The bottom 8 was easy as hell for me. So 16 teams in the middle.
Yeah.
Because my team at 9, you could easily convince me that my team at 9 should have been on the list we just put up there. That's how big of a variance there is.
Yeah.
The meat of this sandwich, that's a lot of teams that are real close to each other. Because I'll be honest with you, and this is a little teaser for tomorrow, you could tell me the Washington football team finishes 2 games behind the Minnesota Vikings, and I wouldn't bat an eyelash at it.
Mm-hmm. Tomorrow, right here in the Sportsocracy, we will do 16 through number 1 in the NFL Power Rankings for 2021. We appreciate everybody joining us here in the Sportsocracy. And don't forget to check us out this afternoon on ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. The Sports Tank with Jeremy Greene, heard everywhere on the iHeartRadio app, live or on demand. We will be back with you tomorrow. Again, the top of the NFL Power Rankings. Have a great afternoon. We will see you on the radio side.